Support is available 24/7 with VerboCare. We're here day or night, ready whenever you need help. Because a great trip starts with the right support.
Your sensors are correct. Do not adjust your heading. You've discovered the Omega Particle, streaming to the Alpha Quadrant and beyond. Here's your host, the anchorman of the Federation, the Doctor of Dilithium. This is Jonathan Wiegand.
Welcome back to the Omega Particle Podcast. Like the man said, my name is Jonathan Wiegand, with half my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. It is good to be back on the podcast. And today we have kind of a little controversial episode. Don't worry about that, Luna. Yeah. Luna the intern, everybody. It's going to be interesting. Is Starfleet kind of not the good guys? Are we the baddies? Is the famous GIF, and I guess it's from a TV show, a British TV show, Luna. Yeah, clip shows like, are we the baddies? Like, look at our uniforms. We have skulls on our heads, and they were talking about the Nazis, and the guy's like, are we not the good guys? And I'm just kind of being like going through some of these Starfleet episodes, like, you know, the famous one of Prime Directive episode. If a society collapses and it's going to go extinct, is it okay to just let it go extinct, etc.? And this whole topic made me think, and so I was like, this would be a great podcast episode, so let's do this. And yeah, again, thank you guys so much for just the love on the podcast. We've had a lot of great responses. Again, I think the highest we got up to in the rankings were like, I think in the 100s in like TV reviews. Yeah, I think that's it. So thank you guys for that. And again, all the love and the following on social media, we greatly appreciate it here at OPP. And man, I'm pumped to get into it today. We didn't have an episode last week. I don't know about you guys, but I've just been dealing with so much allergies and so much garbage, like being sick, people in my family being sick, everybody being sick. And this is before the hentai virus. Oh, it's not the hentai virus. Well, what's hentai? That's hentai? And I've been saying that everywhere? Oh, God, Luna. Why didn't you correct me? Either way. It's not hentai? Okay, they know what they're doing with that. Right. Either way, keeping it light here. Yeah, so we've all been sick, so I'm finally glad to get through that, and I can actually speak and talk and not sound like a, gargly mess. So, yeah, pumped to be back, but without further ado, we're just going to get right into it today. Luna, let's roll that beautiful bean footage. So let me paint you a picture here. So humanity has made it. We've done it. We solved everything. Poverty, it's gone. Money, currency, it's irrelevant. War. On Earth, mostly behind us. We'll have war in space and stuff, but we though, as a human race, we have figured out how to live together, how to cooperate, how to push past all the dumb stuff that's been holding us back for thousands of years. We got better. We evolved, you could almost say. We went after the stars. We built this massive federation. We made Starfleet the absolute best versions of ourselves. We're explorers, diplomats, scientists. We're the good guys. Right? And it's so funny because if you ever get really into Trek and really start looking at it, there are some episodes where the gray exists. It's not black and white. And so, we lie to other civilizations. We spy on our allies. We have war games just like the freaking 1980s where we spy on our allies. We don't trust anybody. We're pale in the gosh, what is it? Luna, you're messing me up. In the Pale Moonlight, the famous DS9 episode where they quasi have to kill a Romulan senator to bring Romulus into the war, and I mean, we're no better than we are now in the future, outside in space, And I mean, we even have like secretly experimenting with biological weapons. We saw that in DS9. We saw that back in Picard. And, occasionally we'll have a couple war crimes here or there, and that's about it. And that is Starfleet. And today we're going to talk about something that might sound a little weird and uncomfortable, because I don't think Star Trek is broken, or is Star Trek dead, as I famously said a couple episodes back. I mean, I'm not ranking captains here. I'm not doing anything like that. I wanted to go a little bit deeper about the premise of some of the premises of the Federation and of Trek in general. And one of those premises, like, what if Starfleet isn't the good guys? What if Starfleet is kind of not? Now, chill. Before I get a bunch of DMs and emails and this and that and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying Starfleet are the villains or the bad guys or anything in any capacity like that. I'm just saying they're complicated. I'm saying they're human, and that we have not, quote unquote, evolved past that yet. That the human heart is evil at all points, as the famous philosophy says. And that's why Star Trek works so well, because there's a lot of gray. There is a lot of complications. Oh boy. So it is, I guess it's we're just going to poke around the Foundation and see what we can actually get. Because I don't think Starfleet lives up to its ideals. Not consistently, not cleanly, and sometimes not even close. But the idea is they keep trying and they keep working at it. And the first things that we're going to really talk about today is the Prime Directive, the first subject. And that is the biggest contradiction in the entire franchise. This one rule that's supposed to define Starfleet, Protocol 1, as Archer would say, it's this non-interference. We're not going to interfere with less advanced civilizations. And on paper, it's an incredible rule. Honestly, it does make total sense on paper that we do not want to ever get to the point where we're, meeting other species and anything like that, and then we're showing that we're, quote unquote, helping them. Because in our history, whenever that happens, it doesn't end up so great. And so the idea makes sense until you actually see it in practice. And that's something with Starfleet that doesn't make any sense to me, is that I can understand the days of Archer, even the days of like the cowboy diplomacy with the Prime Directive, but when you see it with Picard, and even with later on the 23rd century, 24th century, that's been around a good bit at this point. You've had some experience with the Prime Directive, and it doesn't really, I think, shake out that well. Because what the Prime Directive really means is this: Starfleet has the ability to save entire civilizations. They can stop asteroid impacts, they can cure disease, they can stabilize atmospheres, prevent mass extinction events. They have the power to fix that on a planetary scale. But their official stance is, we're just going to let that happen. I mean, that's wild to think about. I mean, there are multiple episodes about this where crews are literally sitting in orbit, watching a civilization collapse, and the entire debate is, should we help? And the answer, more often than you expect, is no, because of this one rule. And I get it. I understand the reasoning. Like I said, you can have unintended consequences. You can destabilize a culture. You could create a freaking religion like they did in Voyager. And they got stuck in orbit. Like, everything. Alter natural development, create dependency, blah, blah, blah. But here's the problem with all of this is, like, choosing not to act is still a choice. And I feel like that's a worse one. And what makes the Prime Directive even more chaotic is how inconsistently it's applied in all of Star Trek canon. Because one week it's the sacred golden rule that we will die. There's all these stories that people will die to protect the Prime Directive. It's untouchable. And breaking it is the worst thing you can do. It ends careers. It's done that. And then the next week, a captain will break it simply because they feel bad. And, well, Data has a friend down there, and that friend's a little girl, and yeah, we should just break it. So Data's bonded with someone on the planet, and now the situation hits different, so yeah. And then they always, like, give this juxtaposition mental gymnastics why it's okay, and like, well, technically it's not really that bad, and it's Prime Directive, we're working on it, we're humans, and we're going to be ever evolving, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, is it a fundamental law that you can't break, and there's massive consequences, or is it just the vibes? Because it sounds like it's just the vibes more often than not. Because to me, I the moral question of that, like, really think about that. Like, if you were on any type of, like, ship or any type of situation in your life when you could help somebody from dying, and you could go, they're not as technically advanced as we are, that's too bad. I mean, that'd be like us equivalent of going to a culture that's not as technically advanced that I'm right now in America or in the West or even in the East, and us saying, well, they need to figure out themselves. It's okay. They can be wiped out through famine. Of course not. Of course, we do not do that in any way, shape, or form. We give all the resources they can to help and etc. And I don't know. It's just a thought experiment, but it's just an idea. Like, if you were a Starfleet captain, would you help? And I know for me, I definitely would. The moral implications of that being on your conscience, of being like, yeah, this entire civilization is going to die because you didn't help stabilize the core Malta rock in it or something. Like, like it's a lot. So, but the funny thing is, they are more than willing to help if you get to warp drive. What the man? So if you could, I feel like that's almost another issue with the Prime Directive I have, is that you can obtain this one source of technology, warp drive, then you are able to be saved. You are deemed worthy. To me, that is a terrible. Now, what if your civilization, because we're talking about all of space, that doesn't care about exploration, but you're still technologically advanced as all the other, quote unquote warp capable planets out there and cultures out there, but you just don't have it because you don't care about exploring. Does that mean you get to die now, even though you have the technology? Oh, it's something to think about. Yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, it's very complicated all on of its own, and it's interesting when you think about it and as an individual, like what you would do. But to me, when you talk about, like, is Starfleet the bad guys, and I would say this more often than not makes them the bad guys, is that there's so many episodes, Voyager, TNG, not really Deep Space Nine, but Voyager and TNG, where they're like pleading with them to help, and they're like, well, we can't because we're non-interference. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's easy to have strong moral principles when everything's going well and everything's great. It's easy to say all of that when there's really no cost to have that stance. But the second, your survival's on the line, it would change. And that's when the ideals get tested. And that's one of the things why I love about, I'm going off a tangent here, what I love about Deep Space Nine, because it completely flips the table on Star Trek, on the rest that we usually see. Because, TNG had the issue, we have a couple episodes back, I don't know, like 20 episodes back, maybe more, about the drama in the Next Generation room, in the writer's room they had. And Gene Roddenberry got upset with the writers so much because they were portraying the future is too non-confrontational. There's no conflict. There's no essence. There's nothing really to write about. So all the conflict had to be external. Nothing was internal. And it just was too perfect. And the writers hated that. And that's where Deep Space Nine comes in. Poops on the couch, flips up the table and says, look, what if this is hard? What if the Federation isn't operating from a position of complete strength? What if they're losing? What if their entire system could be destroyed? What if diplomacy isn't enough? And the answer is, like it has been this whole episode, it gets messy, and it gets messy fast. And no one represents that better than freaking Benjamin Sisko. And like I said, I already mentioned it or butchered it, I think in the opening, in The Pale Moonlight, the episodes where, if you haven't seen it, you've probably heard about it if you've been around Star Trek, because it's that important. And yeah, Sisko does bring the Romulans into the war. Without them, the Federation might lose. And losing isn't just, hey, we're going to lose territory. It's like, no, the Federation's gone. And now we're going to have this oppressive dominion overlords of us. Earth is going to be taken over. It's gone. It's over. And so what does Sisko do? He lies, famously, manipulates evidence. He works with people he knows are dangerous, and then he becomes complicit in an assassination. And it freaking works. And that's the best part of the episode, is when he's at the very end, he's like, and I think I can live with it. That was a terrible Avery Brooks impersonation. But at the end, he's like, I can live with it. And that's the part that matters. Because so can we. As the audience, we're not sitting there going, wow, he's a monster. We're sitting there like, freak yeah, that makes total sense, man. You got to do what you got to do to win. And that's uncomfortable. Because that's not dealing with clean morality anymore. You're dealing with trade-offs, with consequences, with the idea that sometimes doing the right thing means doing something that doesn't feel right at all. And then, Starfleet isn't this perfect moral organization anymore. Cookie cutter clean, and everybody's sunshine and rainbows. It looks like, people are trying to hold their values in a situation that doesn't care about those values. And then, so we have this sticky, messy, gross, stupid Prime Directive. And you're like, okay, that's stupid rule. It's the philosophy 101 class. You're going to debate. Okay. Everyone's open to debate. But now, just as you think, hey, it can't get any worse than that, here it comes rolling in. Like an X at a bonfire you don't want to see. Terrible example, but is Section 31. Somebody's peed in the Cheerios of Starfleet. And this is the part of Starfleet, if you don't know. It's like their CIA. It operates completely in the shadows. The part that handles the stuff the rest of the Federation can't openly admit to. Officially, they don't exist. Unofficially, they absolutely exist. And before, we got that terrible movie, Section 31 movie, and we had Discovery, and then their exploring of Section 31. I thought Section 31 was peak with DS9, because with Sloan and Bashir going back and forth, and then Sloan getting exposed, and then we don't know who's who and what's on what right, and I thought that was just beautiful. But I did watch the movie. What do you guys think about the Section 31 movie? Because I was not a fan. And I mean, we're talking about biological warfare, long-term manipulation for years on our allies, of course on our adversaries, preemptive strikes. I mean, if you really break it down, they are no better than like a 1980s CIA, KGB intelligence agency. But the only difference is they're operating in a freaking utopia. That's the wild part. Starfleet is out there giving speeches about peace and diplomacy, and behind the scenes, in the webs, they have an organization saying, "Hey, that's great, but someone's gonna make the sausage." And I don't know what that impression was, but someone actually has to make sure that the Federation survives, and we're gonna do the dirty work. We're gonna make it gross, and that's again, I've said this a lot this episode, uncomfortable. That is not good guy energy. And obviously, if Section 31 is doing anything that Starfleet officially condemns, of course they're going to say it's wrong, blah, 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 but they're also protecting the Federation, too. So is Section 31 wrong? Or are they just honest about what it takes to be like, hey, this is what it takes to be successful, to be alive, to be thriving in the Alpha Quadrant? You got to have this nasty, underhanded, gross, like, organization that does the things you don't want to do, that you can't do, that you just officially disagree with. And I always think about Section 31 as my Little League socks. So, you're like, where are we going with this? So when I was in, I think it was like 6th or 7th grade. I think it was 6th grade. That summer, between 6th and 7th grade, my Little League team went 23-0. We went completely undefeated. And it wasn't like we barely went undefeated. Like, we destroyed teams. We made newspapers. We were a big deal. We were a big deal. And one of the things that we all had our crazy traditions, and mine was, I didn't wash my socks for 16 games. And my mother, oh man, she would like try to find my socks. And I would like mess with her and be like, oh, I didn't wear my red socks. I wore my blue socks today. And she's like, well, your blue ones are in your drawer and they're not dirty. Why are you... No, you wore your red ones. And I would like hide them strategically so she couldn't wash them. And then but I did what I had to do, and we won, baby. We won. We went, like I said, 23-0. Eventually she found them and washed them. And eventually I got athlete's foot, but that's not important. Hear everybody about what 10-year-old John did. But we kept the streak alive. We did what needed to do, what needed to be done. And it was dirty. And it needed to be done. And we freaking won. Either way, if you understand sports, you'll understand that story. If you weren't really into sports, then that story will make sense. And you'll just think it's gross. But it is gross. But either way, I digress. We're talking about Section 31? Okay. So I guess you could say it's not about individual decisions or secret organizations. It's about what Starfleet does on a larger scale. They're the explorers. They're out there to seek new life, new civilizations, and that's true. But what happens after that first contact? They just don't observe. They influence. They introduce Federation ideals, Federation systems, Federation ways of thinking, and sometimes that's great. Sometimes it leads to alliances, cooperation, growth, but it's never neutral. It's always a power imbalance. Federation has better technology, more knowledge, more resources, more planets than they do. You're a small, tiny planet being colonized by the Federation. Come join us. If you don't, you have all... I mean, is the Federation just a mafia? A form of, hey, you gotta do your protection. Hey, you join our organization, we'll give you protection, and it'll be great. But if not, we don't know. You may get hurt. And if you get hurt, we ain't gonna protect you. To me, that's expansion. That's not exploration. You're literally expanding out. And then you do it to the point where you have territories in the neutral zone, and you have territories on the Cardassian border, where there's border disputes, where we as in the Federation is putting in these little pockets of Federation ideals. We're imposing on these other cultures and their space. And we say, well, the planet wasn't officially claimed as DS. It's like, well, the planet was officially claimed, so we're gonna put settlements there, and we're gonna put people on it. And it's like, oh gosh, like that's really bad. So you have Section 31, I mean, you have Section 31 doing all these terrible, notorious stuff and doing the undersided stuff, which does happen. You know, that's clean, but it needs to happen. And then on the other side, you have this side of, I wouldn't say colonization, because that's such a terrible word, but it kind of is. And when I was thinking about this, one of the TNG episodes I was watching, I couldn't shake it. I was like, oh, this is what they're doing. And now I understand like why they get so pissed, or why the Cardassians get pissed, or the Klingons get pissed, or the Romulans get pissed, because it's like, you're imposing, you're setting these things up on our territory. And it goes back and forth, vice versa. Not saying it's like the Cardassians are all good, it's like they do it too, but it's just simple 20th century politics in space. Plain and simple. Because, and you can say, well, we've evolved, but the rest of the world hasn't evolved, so we have to deal with them like we normally would. And I'm like, well, then you're not evolved, right? If you were at that point, you would just, there's some societies, I forget the episode, where they didn't fight. They were like, well, yeah, it was when on the TNG episode where Picard is taken, I guess, hostage, and he's put in a room. There's all these, there's like 4 other aliens, and they're trying to escape the room, but it's not actually an escape room. It's like a rat race and a maze, and these aliens are just looking at how they are when they're stressed. And one of the guys in that episode, he goes, well, my people, we just surrender automatically. And I feel like if you were peace and you had all these ideals of peace and diplomacy, etc., you would have that. You know, not a quasi-military expansionist program like Starfleet. I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable, because I'm like, as I read my notes and I'm going through this, I was like, and I was thinking about it, I was like, hopefully I can shake it. But again, Starfleet isn't the bad guys. They're not. Don't send me DMs. Of course, I do think they're the good guys, and I hope that's what we can, as humanity, can achieve one day. But it just makes you think, like, we have 20th century tactics, right? In the 23rd, 24th century, 20th century tactics when it deals with other nations. We undermine them, we spy on them, we push our borders, colonize them so we can get closer, so we can spy on them easier, etc. We undermine them. We try to bring instability to their government. It's just, the United States has been freaking since the Pirates of Tripoli. Doesn't make it right, but it's who we are as humanity. And I just love that we have that duality of man, that we're all peace-loving, no war, no money, nothing. And then on the other side, we're destabilizing governments in Central America. You know, that's duality. And it's pretty wild. And that's what makes Star Trek great, is, yeah, you just gotta love it. And it's great. And so after all this, after the Prime Directive, after all the war crimes, after Section 30, I'm not laughing because I'm just uncomfortable. And after the Section 31, after like thinking about colonization and stuff, are they the bad guys? No. Are they the perfect heroes they present themselves to be? No. I think Starfleet is aspirational. Like I said, it's a vision of what humanity can be, but it's also paired with the reality of what humanity actually is, that duality of man. And that tension is Star Trek. And that's what makes it good. Because if Starfleet was perfect, if every decision was clean, every outcome morally correct, every rule followed exactly as written, it'd be boring as heck. There wouldn't be conflict. There wouldn't be debate. There'd be no reason to talk about this. There'd be no reason to have a podcast. It wouldn't even be a show. Because the entire point is that they're trying. Is that they're moving forward, trying to be better, trying to live up to something bigger than themselves. And they fail all the time. And maybe that's why Star Trek has worked for 60 years. Is because we're all in that way, doing it in our own lives. Whether it be health, professionally, relationally, spiritually, we're all failing, and we're all trying, and we're all trying to pick ourselves back up every day and do better than the last. And that's hard work. And that's not easy to do. And so that tension is why we love Star Trek. And that tension is also what makes our lives great and worth living as well. Because no matter how advanced we get, how far we go, we're still going to be making difficult choices at any point in the future for humanity. That's just how it is. It's still going to get messy. Things are going to get messed up. We're going to have moments where we decide what's doing right and then what's doing what's necessary. And sometimes those aren't the same thing. And I just think Starfleet is the best version of that struggle, I would say, that can encapsulate that in my mind in sci-fi. It is the best version of that. In Star Wars, it's very cookie cutter. Like you have the Empire's bad, Rebels are good, and okay, you're trying to do, but the Empire's really terrible, but we're gonna do something that's a little shady. They might end up blowing up the Death Star, but that's okay because they're really the bad guys. But the Rebel Alliance never preaches peace and diplomacy, etc. The Rebel Alliance is all about we'll win it no matter what. We have to win. We have to win. So there's not that tension there. Philosophy 101 tension that you have in Star Trek. Star Wars is very basic, very clean cut. This is what it is. Good guys, bad guys, do whatever it takes to win. But that's just my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think. It's been a lot of fun this episode. Like I said, it kind of this was birthed out of me watching some old TNG, so it's been great. Let me know what you think. Reach out to me on social media, on email, whatever it takes. I love hearing from you guys and debating you in DMs. Just can be as simple as that, just sending a simple DM on Instagram. But again, thank you all so much for listening. And Luna, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening. We are good to be back. And I mean, that was a heavy episode, wasn't it, Luna? Jeez. I'm really curious to see what you guys think, what you fans out there think. Because it is that tension. It is that unspeakable back and forth. What do we do? Am I looking too much into this? Or sometimes, the curtain's blue, leave it alone. You're thinking too much. Dude, it's just a sci-fi show, whatever. And don't get me wrong, it's not like Lower Decks or anything like that. Like, it's not a comedy show that we're talking about here. It's more, DS9, the big ones, biggies. But, I would love to hear from you guys, so please feel free to reach out. Also, if you're looking for great quality entertainment, and not only entertainment that can make you more successful at work and make your hair regrow and make your foundation to your house just strong as can be, please check out www.jasontalksmovies. It solves everything. Acne, male pattern baldness, fixes scratches in cars. Please check it out. If you have not checked out jasontalksmovies.wordpress.com. He's immense friend and sponsor of the podcast. I don't say sponsor, but immense friend of the podcast. So please check it out. Also, we have our DS9 review coming this week, so be on the lookout for that. And as always, remember to take care of yourselves, guys and girls out there. It's been a crazy, hectic couple weeks out in the world. Everybody here is valued and means something. So remember that. And as always, second star to the right, straight on to morning.
We see you, the one behind the camera, making sure the moments that matter get remembered. Shutterfly turns your memories into something that lasts, like photo books that tell your travel stories, photo blankets that feature your favorite cuddle buddies, or a canvas print that brings you back to the moment you said, I do. Big moments or everyday ones, Shutterfly makes it easy to keep them close.
Make something